Hey, thank you guys for tuning in. This is the Coffee Hour, Real Talk Sports. Your host, Christopher Patrick, and my best friend, co-host, Anthony Winecoop.
Hey folks, how we doing? How we doing?
I want to thank you guys for tuning in. More importantly, how you doing, my man?
I'm doing all right, sir. Doing all right.
All right, perfect. Well, we got some topics today. So first, the theme of today is going to be the playoff push. We're into March. I know a lot of people are tuned into the March Madness, but I think we got some NBA stewing up here. I mean, some close ones on the East as well as the West about teams that are trying to either make a point or just even get into the playoff talk.
Yeah, it's very important for some teams because some teams been bottom feeders for a while, and now we got some bottom feeders like a Detroit, trying to make a statement for themselves. So it's a good time for basketball.
It is. And so I want to start off with the Houston losing to the Hornets, 109 to 125. Houston, to me, should have been a top four team this year. With James Harden and Dwight Howard. Unfortunately, with the chemistry issues that they've been having, trying to get each other trade, and Kevin McHale getting fired 8 games into the season. I mean, they've been on a downward spiral, and it hasn't looked great for them at this point. I mean, you're losing to the Hornets, a team that you should easily dominate. I mean, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, I think with the Houston thing, they're going in a downward spiral, as you said, just because there's too much mano between Dwight and James Harden. James Harden. I really think if one of them learned how to be the Batman and the Robin, I think they'd be a really good team. And with the Hornets, Michael Jordan's got a collective band of good guys that know how to play. And on top of that, you have Kimball Walker. Still got Al Jeff, too. And with adding Jeremy Lin, I mean, you can see the chemistry's going there. Frank the Tank, Frank Kaminsky from Wisconsin. I think it's just a good band of guys that really know how to play well.
And your favorite, Nicholas Batum.
Yes, that guy. So I think that's kind of why the Hornets took advantage of the Rockets last night. I think it's a good balance of chemistry and teamwork, and that always beats a 1-2 punch sometimes.
Well, and I hate to say it, one of my picks at the beginning of the season to slip into the A spot was the Utah Jazz. And right now, Utah is saving these teams for being in the playoffs. I mean, saving Portland, saving Dallas, saving Houston, because there's been a lot of close games with with the Utah, and they've just blown it. And it'd be a different playoff picture right now if they would actually finish games.
I believe the problem with Utah is the inexperience. I really think they need a more solid veteran. I think they're trying to build Gordon Hayward to be that veteran guy, but he's still a young guy himself. I think he's going in his 5th, 6th year in the league right now. They need someone like a la Richard Jefferson sitting on the on the Cleveland Cavaliers bench. Someone that's a solid vet that's kind of been in a situation that can kind of help them maybe get through some of them close games. I mean, obviously Richard Jefferson's kind of probably past his years, but I mean his veteran leadership.
Yeah.
Mike Miller, someone that's played in the championship games a couple years. I think that would help this young Utah Jazz team.
Well, and on top of that, I'm waiting for Derek Favors to be consistent.
Another young guy, young guy they're trying to build into that leadership role.
Yeah,
It's
sure.
Understandable, but still young, still trying to learn the ropes, I guess, of the NBA.
Mm-hmm. So we have Memphis losing to the Hawks, 83-95. I think Memphis is in trouble right now. I believe they sit at the 3rd spot. I think they're going to slip. Losing Marc Gasol for the rest of the year, they've already been a trouble scoring team. Their team was never built to put up 100 points. It was always built to, stop teams from putting up 80 points half the time, and so that way they can barely outscore them because they're offensively just not there.
Yeah, they're one of them kind of old fossil. Will score maybe 95. Hopefully, we hold the team to about 85, 90 points at the max. It's kind of like they're afraid to adapt this new day and age of scoring, trying to hit all these threes, trying to get all these guys that can push up the court. It's understandable because they do have Marc Gasol, but now with no Marc Gasol and it's just solely Zach Randolph, it might be time to let some of these young guys go that they got on the bench and let them run up and down the court and see how, maybe this fast-paced style might benefit them because, they are currently sitting at a good spot in the playoff, but with no Marc Gasol, they're slowly going to start slipping here.
Yeah, I totally agree. I said 4th. I mean, they're sitting at the 5th spot right now, with only 2.5 games behind Portland. I mean, with Portland continuing to win, they had a little bit of a loose streak, but they were able to bounce back. They beat the Magic 121-84. Mm-hmm. big win, I think, for them because Magic's is not an easy team to beat. I mean, they're not going to win a lot of games, but I mean, they compete every single night. I like their core. I think in the future they'll be a better team, but right now, obviously Portland is the better team. I like the fact that Damian Lillard, McCollum, both had like 18, 19 points apiece. But more importantly, I like to see that Alan Crabb came off the bench and put in his 18, and that Myers Leonard had like 12 points. Everybody was plus in the plus minus column, and to me that's more important than sometimes Damian Lillard putting in 30, 40, 50 points a night.
Well, it makes his job a whole lot easier when he doesn't have to put in all those points. I mean, sometimes I think it also maybe the players just feel more confident when they see a kind of a low-end team like the Magic showing up. I mean, obviously it's no disrespect. It's just some fact that the Magic are one of those young East Coast teams are trying really hard to be kind of a top 8 team. It's just the inexperience. They got rookies. They got second-year guys trying to kind of develop. Obviously, Portland should have easily won this, which they did, or maybe could have had some struggles. But I mean, I'm just saying it's the Orlando Magic. They're like a year or two away. Oladipo, I think, is going to be an amazing player. Aaron Gordon too. It was a game Portland needed to win. They just got to maintain a streak. Yeah, we needed 2, the 3s, the 4s, build themselves a streak.
As long as the Thunder, which we're going to jump to them real quick, with them losing to the Spurs 85-93, as long as the Thunders keep struggling the way they're struggling and giving up these fourth quarter leads, the Thunders right now only hold a game above the Clippers at the 3rd seed and the Clippers being at the 4th seed. If Portland could stay in that 6th spot and the Thunders jump into that 4th spot, that would be the playoff matchup dream, I think, for Portland. Because they have beaten the Thunder. I mean, Damian Lillard went off on the 4th quarter on them, cost them a loss. I mean, I think that's the dream matchup. I mean, the Thunders are in trouble. They are in trouble right now. Their lack of confidence in the 4th. I mean, the leadership is just really just not there. And I think Kevin Durant leaves. I think he's plotting to leave at this point.
Well, I think he should have been left by now. But I think the other problem is, I mean, where they're at with all their win totals, it's definitely not a bad season for Billy Donovan as like a first-year head coach. You got to give him his respect there. But at the same point in time, everybody's seen this Thunder team before. Everybody knows what it is. Everybody knows how it should have been. I honestly think they're really hurting from losing Reggie Jackson, from not paying James Harden. I understand you might have to, didn't want to pay James Harden all that money, but you should at least tried your best to hold on to Reggie Jackson. They're really missing a 6th man off that bench. Serge Ibaka's not playing that well.
Well, and Damian Waiters, he didn't play last night because his brother was killed recently, and he had to go attend family matters. I mean, so that was a hurt. They have Anthony Morrow on that bench. They don't use. You got a 2-headed dragon in Cantors and
Steven Adams.
Steven Adams, exactly. I mean, that they rarely use. You want to talk about ball hog? You can look at the numbers all day. Westbrook has 7, 8 assists, but these are assists that don't matter. These are little dinky first quarter assists or second quarter assists. Then you get to the 4th quarter. They're last in assist in the 4th quarter, last in player efficiency in the 4th quarter, last in 3-pointers percentage in the 4th quarter, and not to mention they lead the league in blowing 4th quarter leads.
Oh, hey, they better just blow everybody out by the 3rd quarter, so that way the 4th quarter comes around and ain't got to worry about nothing. I mean, that's what that basically sounds like. Get through 3, have a big enough lead, and pray that you don't lose. I mean,
unfortunately, they've had 20-point leads. They've had 11-point leads. 11's not a lot in the NBA anymore, but I mean they've had it. So it's not that they don't go into the 4th with a pretty hefty lead. It's the fact that they don't keep it. They don't maintain. When you shoot, one or what the stat I saw that was intriguing. Westbrook is 3 for like 27 or 5 for 27 from 3 points in the 4th quarter. You're shooting below 20%.
Billy Donovan maybe should get the ball out of Westbrook's hand in the 4th quarter. Just a thought.
Not happening. But we would like that. So. We got Dallas losing to the Pacers, 112-105. Dallas was more of a shocking team to me this year. I didn't expect big things from them, but I expected them to compete. As far as I'm concerned, they're about right where I thought they would be at. You got an aging Dirk Nowitzki. I mean, that guy's a Hall of Famer. He still can score. I mean, you brought in Darren Williams, which is cool. I mean, I think you should have brought in Darren Williams the first time you talked about it years ago,
Yeah.
you know, when he was a better player.
Yeah.
You know, you got, you know, Parsons that's healthy this year, and he's actually finally giving you what you paid him.
Yeah.
What are they missing at this point? I mean, maybe a big man, a solid big man. I mean, Pachulia, I mean, Mr. I could have made All-Star this year.
I think they're missing just a lot of good chemistry, bro. I mean, you got Wesley Matthews, you got Zaza Pachulia, you got JaVale McGee even. I don't know, I guess maybe a point guard. I think they just got to play harder. And on top of that, I think Rick Carlisle's probably got the best he could get out of this team. They're probably going to maybe sneak out the first round depending on their matchup. Otherwise, they're probably gone in the second.
Yeah.
It's almost time for them and Mark Cuban to kind of retool, get rid of some of these people. Obviously, Dirk Nowitzki's going to retire there as a Dallas Maverick, but they got to get him some more help, like a legit scorer. Like Wesley Matthews, fine, good shooter, but he's not one of your 25.
He's been injured this year, too. That's the thing. He hasn't even been healthy.
He is coming off a torn Achilles, so obviously he's going to be in and out. It's just, I think it's time they find someone to kind of replace Dirk. Maybe Dirk hits the pine, something.
So I want to touch base on a team that's not making playoffs this year, that should have made playoffs, that has all the talent in the world, that always frustrates me. And that's the Sacramento Kings. Is it time for Boogie to move on? If he moves on, where does he go?
I think the Sacramento Kings, they keep trying to trade DeMarcus Cousins. They keep trying to send him to somewhere. I think a team that would be really happy to have him would be the Boston Celtics. They got a lot of assets to trade. They got a lot of picks they could trade to the Sacramento Kings. If it's not the Boston Celtics, I guess if we're going to stay West Coast style, the Phoenix Suns. Maybe you trade Tyson Chandler and a couple picks to Sacramento for, DeMarcus Cousins. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he got traded.
I'll tell you what, I would like to see Boogie go, and I think it would make more sense for him to be in Portland with the Portland Trailblazers. They they were trying to go after Dwight. Unfortunately, Dwight has a no trade clause on his contract, so even though he wanted to be traded, he didn't want to be traded. Whatever Dwight does.
He has that I don't want to sign an extension thing too. So.
Yeah, exactly. So I'd like to see him in Portland with Damian Lillard. Them to get, they have a lot of trade assets. I mean, Ed Davis can go, Myers Leonard can go. I mean, you got Chris Kaman that's sitting on the bench doing nothing. I mean, they got a lot of assets, and I mean to bring in a center that can do pretty much everything.
It's not a bad look. It wouldn't be a bad look. Obviously, Portland fans would be probably very happy to have a.
They got money to spend at this point too.
Oh yeah.
They got money to spend. It's not a money issue at this point. It's a can you lure him? And it looks like the Sacramento Kings want something. They don't want to give him up for nothing, but if they keep messing around, he's going to walk.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So we got, last but not least on the West Coast side, I mean, Golden State obviously beat Phoenix. I mean, it was a rally by Steph Curry in the third and fourth. I mean, was there any doubt in anybody's mind that Phoenix was going to go into Oracle Arena and pull this off? No way. It's a joke. The more intriguing storyline behind this is Iggy going to be okay? I mean, I know he's out for a couple weeks right now. I mean, he's a big part of what Golden State Warriors do defensively and the bench production. The good news is, in a couple weeks, it's still not playoff time, so he can still come back before playoffs. But do you try for the Bulls record with Iggy out?
One more injury, and I think Steve Kerr really starts thinking about resting people. One more significant injury, an Andrew Bogut, maybe even a Mo Spates, even a Leandro Barbosa. One more big significant kind of like blow to the team. I think we start seeing people sitting a little bit sooner. I think we start seeing some losses to teams that, even though everybody probably knows Golden State could win. I mean, even with that game last night, Steph Curry had to pull magic out of his hat, which obviously is not a bad thing. It's just you're playing a Phoenix Suns team that obviously isn't that great.
Shouldn't have to try that hard.
But exactly. You
shouldn't have to try that.
You shouldn't have to try that hard to play a Phoenix Suns team that's depleted, that's not really that good.
And they have nothing to win for at this point. They're going for draft.
They're playing for a top 5 pick. So we have one more injury in my mind. I think Steve Kerr starts saying we don't need that record that bad, folks. We want to get to the playoffs. We want to play for that championship. So.
I agree. So I'm going to go over to East Coast. Not a lot's happening over there right now. Detroit holds the 8th seed, which was a big shocker in my opinion. But the team that I want to kind of bring up that they won last night, or actually, I'm sorry, they lost to Toronto. who do would be Miami Heat? Do you think they really compete in the playoffs? I mean, I understand they have a high seed in the playoffs, but is it worth it for them without Chris Bosh?
I think the way Spoelstra's got this kind of veteran starting lineup going on with like Amari, Joe Johnson, Wade, Dragic, and the centers. I mean, it's a good move. I'm wondering if these young guys are going to hit like a wall. Like I know Whiteside's doing well, but Josh Richardson, rookie, Justice Winslow, kind of a rookie. It could come back to bite them, but I mean, obviously, it's the Miami Heat. You want to make playoffs. Pat Riley, Eric Spoelstra, they were on the outside kind of looking in last year, so you definitely want to make the playoffs. To me, I think they're going to stay right where they're at and maybe go down to the 5th, but I think they're going to be definitely a playoff contender. The Joe Johnson acquisition is really helping them right now.
Yeah, that's been huge.
He's scoring at least about 12 points every game or more, so it's definitely a big, good look for them. We'll just see what the matchup's like. I mean, when they get to playoff time, but I think they'll be fine once they get to the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, Cleveland's the East. You got to go through Cleveland. And, it's not like the West where it's all about the seeding. When we look at the seedings, we look at the matchups. I think with the East, it's more or less, are you built to beat Cleveland? I think Toronto might be right now the only team that I look at that can probably go 7 games with Cleveland at this point.
That team-heavy oriented system is definitely benefiting Toronto. And plus, the beautiful thing about Toronto, most of those guys been there for about 3 to 4 years, and so they know the system. Obviously, getting Corey Joseph was a big acquisition from San Antonio. Bismack Biyombo from the Hornets, that's a good shot defender.
He is.
They got some good kind of core pieces, but the main ones, Kyle Lowry, DeMar DeRozan, Terrence Ross. Those guys have been in the system for a while, so they know the teamwork play.
Don't forget about Valanciunas.
Yeah, Valanciunas also. So I mean,
he's a big deal. He's a guy that can go toe to toe with any center.
The other problem that Cleveland seems to always have, the whole not going big, wanting to try to take Kevin Love and try to do the stretch the defense, and it works sometimes, and then it doesn't work. I mean, case in point, when you play Detroit, they do this too many times in my mind. You go with Mozgov. It working well, then they want to switch and go with Kevin Love. Here comes Andre Drummond, just slamming dunks on him. You got to run big.
Well, the thing about Cleveland that always frustrates me is how they throw their money. I mean, you went ahead and you paid Kevin Love $125, which I understand. He that's who you want to be your guy, your third wheel of this all-star cycle. Mm-hmm. But then you turn around and pay Tristan Thompson $80, and he's a backup. I mean, he's living life lavishly as a backup. I mean, he's not even your starter, and you're paying a max contract type of deal. And then you got Mozgov that you haven't even thrown money yet. You haven't even paid. And in my opinion, last year, Mozgov was the only guy that, other than LeBron, giving the Warriors a run for their money because his size just made it difficult for them. And then they took him out the game, and then the Warriors stormed back and won a championship. I mean, so really, I think they're going to end up losing Mozgov. I think they've already floated too much money. Then with LeBron, I mean, and there's a possible talks that I hear that LeBron might even walk from Cleveland.
There's a reason why he has the 2-year He has the 2-year deal, but it's a 1-year opt-out clause. He did that last year. He did it this year too. My thing with it is, if Cleveland doesn't want to lose him, I don't know why Dan Gilbert allows his agent to sit there and come up with these deals. I'd lock him in for 4 years. I'd lock him in for 5 years. Make it that way so you have to. But when you keep doing these,
it's easy
2
money.
years, yeah.
It's easy money.
It's easy money, but it puts that franchise on like ice skates.
And with the TV deal coming up, he's going to be asking for money. He's going to opt out next year, guarantee, and he's going to want that. I wouldn't be surprised if he asked for $200 million at this point. Be the first player in NBA history to receive a $200 million
If LeBron
deal.
James don't get it, I believe Steph Curry's going to get it. $200 million contract. One of the two. Those are my 2 picks. Right
out of all the superstars, Stephen Curry's the least paid one, sitting at $40 million. He took that extension for $40 million, and he's got this year and next year, and then he becomes a free agent. And if your number one priority isn't signing Steph,
I'm done. I don't think they wait for next year. I think after this year, win, lose, however the finals go, I believe Steph Curry gets a new deal. I think they tell him to, restructure his deal. He'll get more money up front, and I think he's sitting at least close to $200 million.
He's sitting there. I mean, with him, the Under Armour deal, this guy's a made man. He is the face of the NBA currently. So I want to switch base a little bit. Over the years, if you're as old as me and Coop, over the years we always had this thing called Madden football. And the Madden curse, that if you were on, the cover of Madden, you were going to get injured. And for so many years, it proven true. And that was the way it went. And except for the last couple of years, there hasn't been an injury on Madden cover. So now I think the Madden curse have been lifted, but I think it's been replaced onto something else. Because if you know, Madden is owned by EA Sports. EA Sports also does the UFC game. And the two people on the UFC cover, Ronda and McGregor, both top of the game, both the biggest talks in UFC, have both lost. Is the curse on the UFC games now that if you're on the cover of UFC, that your career is going to plummet?
I believe it's definitely going to be. It's hitting McGregor already. We'll see how it does for Ronda one more time, because obviously, with that big loss that she had, it hit them both, obviously.
I hear Ronda wants to have a baby. She wants to get pregnant now. So it's, first of all, you've already owned Miesha Tate. So I have no doubt in my mind that if Ronda came back, she would just annihilate Tate. She's done it 3 times already. McGregor a little different, because does he stay at the weight class that he has? If he does stay at the the next weight class that he fought Diaz at, he's gonna have to give up his belt, and he's gonna have to kind of start over. To be honest, he's gonna have to start from phase 1, win about 3 or 4 fights before he's gonna get another title shot. Or does he go back and just continue to dominate? That's more the question right now.
If I'm his agent, I'd say you give me 2 really, really, really good fights. Whether that be fighting Jose Aldo or someone else that's coming to challenge for his belt. And then obviously Dana White and his agent are probably going to come and say, move up weight. Go to the 175 weight class, 170. And honestly, it's probably a good money move for him, because obviously with this fight with Nate Diaz, it drew in a lot of people.
It did.
Even with the fight, when he was supposed to fight the title holder at 170, it was going to draw a lot of people. But obviously the champ got injured, so they had to change up the fight.
Did you agree with McGregor coming over and immediately getting a title shot?
I didn't agree with it at all, but I definitely see why Dana White did it. It's all about the money.
It's all about the money.
You're pulling in pay-per-view. Yeah, you're pulling in pay-per-view sales. You're pulling in fans from all over to come watch this guy. He's a talk. He's got that mouthpiece like Chael Sonnen. Obviously, people love to hear a guy just talk trash all day, every day.
And for the most part, he was backing it up.
He was backing it up, but it's just a simple fact. I'm sure there were people in that division that felt disrespected that Conor McGregor was already getting a title shot when they've been fighting in that division for 1, 2, 3 years in a row trying to get up there that ladder. So
yeah, I think to me it was a lack of story buildup, and I don't want to sound WWE-ish where there needs to be a storyline, but to me it's like, if let's just say he got the title fight and he beat that title and he gets the title, you might as well just retire. Because you're not going up to the 205 weight class. That's just not happening, And on top of that, what would you have to prove then? I mean, nobody likes a better fighter than an epic, build up to a fight. Like, oh, he comes in, he's dominating that weight class. He goes for the title. Now he's like the undisputed, type champ thing.
There's no rival. The thing with him and Jose Aldo, it had some sort of rivalry, even though the fight only lasted 13 seconds. The constant back and forth, forth. You were just, the build-up. You're like, oh, man, McGregor's going to get him, or Aldo's going to get him. He just made you want to pay for that fight and watch it. And, there was no build-up for this title. It was McGregor trying to build it up, but there was nothing there.
I'll tell you what, and this will be the last topic of the day here. Should UFC have some kind of ranking system or some kind of tournament that leads up to a championship fight? Because the way it just looks like Dana White's like, he's like Jerry Maguire. Show me the money at this point. Like, hey, this fight looks good. It's going to bring me in a bankroll. Let's do the fight now. I mean, should there be some kind of ranking system? Should there be some seeding? I mean, should there be something in place for these fighters to build up to a fight?
I think Dana White should establish, if it's not 3 fights in a row, at least got to be 4. You got to win 4 consecutive fights in a row, and then you get a number 1 contender bout. Like, if you have 2 consecutive fighters winning 4 fights in a row and you have your champ obviously maintaining his position or her position, then yeah, there should be a definite number 1 contender fight, and then after that, a title shot, but at least maybe 4 fights in a row, something.
Yeah,
There's
there's
got to
gotta
be
be
some
something.
sort of system, because it seems like what you said, Dana White's just looking, oh, he's won 2 fights in a row. Okay, that's a title shot. Money's coming in.
He's got some fans now, and they look like they're going to buy this pay-per-view. Let's just do it now. And it's ridiculous. And to be honest, it's the reason why that, like, there's no depth in UFC, and there's a reason why a lot of UFC fighters are leaving UFC. They're going to Bellator and all these other companies.
Other small ones. I mean, the one that's on NBC, the World Series of MMA, they got a lot of fighters from UFC. So a ranking system would be nice.
Well, yeah, and you get a lot of these fighters that believe they want title shots, and then you get this fighter over here that came in and believes he wants a title shot, and you're just giving it left and right. You're handing out candy, and there's just no, if you had a level system to where, a tournament maybe each month, like I said, I don't want to sound WWE-ish, but I kind of need something. I need a build-up, and this is not building up to anything. Oh, McGregor, and I'm Irish, and I support my Irish fighters, and I love that Gregor was talking all that crap, and I love the fact that he backed it up, but for him to jump weight classes and then get a title fight, that was ridiculous. I mean, first of all, like I said, statistically, fighters that go up weight class does not do as good as fighters that go down weight classes. You have a lot more to learn when you go up. You're fighting against bigger, stronger guys. And a lot of these guys in those weight classes have been there forever. I mean, Nate Diaz, this was not his first rodeo doing something like this. You're going up against a guy that's been in the game for a while. So it's ridiculous. But on that note, man, I want to thank you guys for tuning in. We'll have more podcasts coming out soon as more sports come out soon.
All right.
All right. Well, thank you, brother, man.
Thank you.